Hi again. Sorry for the shirt off, but it's hot. I'm I'm exhausted. I went shopping today. When I'm a bit tired, like I slept a little bit this morning. When I've got a lot to do and not much money, I get grumpy and act stupid, and it lifts my mood. So if I don't do that, I don't get the endorphins. I don't have a wife, so I've got no one to carry the other half of me. So I've got to act like a dick. So sorry if I do, but it keeps my mind active by switching from logic and my serious side into like kind of like not so much a clown, but just my silly thoughts or my imagination. Yeah, into my imagination side, so I can rest the other side of my head, which is worrying about money and everything. I need to rest from it. So that's the mechanics of how my mind works. And then I'll sing stupid stuff and then calm down and sit at home in the cool off with some drinks and listen to music. And I better stop my record player. Actually, hang up. It just stopped. So yeah, that's that's how I think. And so yeah, I was just thinking when I got home, I was having a rest. I have a few vapes too. That's not the best thing to do. It can stimulate your nerves too much, and you end up getting nerve stresses, twitches and stuff. But I touch my face a lot because I'm very compressed in my body. My body's not the right size. I should be about 7 foot tall. I see a lot of tall people around who look very well groomed. I should be more like that. I don't really feel jealous anymore. I'm happy the way I am, but I would love to feel like that, groomed up, and not just groomed, but in love. Not waste all that feelings and everything just to nothing, or just to like pornography, or just they call it getting done. I don't really want to be done. I want to fall in love with someone and use that all that energy and all those experiences to nurture a relationship with someone. I would have loved it to be someone like Tamsin or a few other nice ones. I met one up at Brisbane who looked like Tinkerbell, of a tall, life-size sort of version. She had those big hips and a real long neck. She had a cute little face, but I don't know if she was sort of like that. But when I met her, we just walked off together. We didn't say a word. We walked off up the street like we knew each other forever. It was a really strange thing. I didn't realise it happened until I got up to the top, up near the restaurant, and we walked in there and sat with each other, and then she sort of wandered off, and I felt a bit disappointed. Like I wasn't in the right for her. I wasn't in the right socio-economic. She looked really quite well done up and everything at this club, and I was a bit shabby. I was carrying a bag with a knife in it. So I was worried I was going to get assaulted. I was in a city, sleeping out rough on the streets. I'd lost my car and I couldn't remember where it was, and I had a bag, a fishing bag. I put my fishing knife in it just so I could say, "Oh, I've been fishing," just in case someone tried to attack me. I had a knife with me because I didn't really know Brisbane very well, and I went up there to go to the strip clubs again. I used to like going to the strip club and sitting there and watching the girls and getting a few lap dances. I wasn't the sort that when I first got unwell and I was in my early 20s, I had some sort of younger kids and that sort of hitting on me, and I didn't want to go that route, sort of the pedophilia sort of way that some people go. They creep around looking at kids. So I got out of there, went to Melbourne, and used to go to the strip clubs. I like older girls, like my age, and I loved sort of mingling with those sort of girls. And even though they didn't like me, I didn't have the money, or that I wasn't in the gangs or the groups or own clubs or anything. I always felt like they're my sort of people. I'd love to just live with a group of girls like that. Like even be like a member on a footy team or something. Like the guy that does all the plays the game with the girls, dresses up like one, and then does all the back rubs and everything. I think that'd be a good life. Because really, under this, you're looking at Wonder Woman. Really, I'm just a woman. Really, um, in my invisible jet, just sitting here in sort of a male body. But I'd love to just feel like I could change into Wonder Woman and play footy. That'd just be the best feeling. Even dress up a bit like it. Have a bit more the pleated skirt and play like that rather than the shorts and things. I reckon girls in pleated skirts playing footy like netball would be really hot, and have them even touching each other, and even the odd kiss here and there would be pretty nice. Guys getting melees, where they punch. I reckon girls getting stripping off and rubbing tits would be a good version, like a nicer version for girls. People like watching lesbians, and I suppose girls would like watching male sort of gay sex on the field, but I think it's not healthy because it can cause disease, whereas women together touching and licking and kissing doesn't really cause disease, so it's more acceptable. But that said, women I think get off just seeing men with nice muscles and rubbing their dick and sort of touching each other. It's enough for women. Women are very sensitive, whereas a man will sit there with a nice erection, watching the girls on field kissing and touching their breasts and stripping off the clothes and think that's the equivalent for the women. So I'd love to be a girl on field doing that. If I was a Wonder Woman, it'd be great. Anyway, I was going to talk about something else, time travel, how that sort of works. And once you're superpowered, you understand it more that where you are is eternal. Everything around you has been here for so long. It's almost just been here forever. Everything around you, every substance, cell, is surrounded by eternity. Even though you build things and they're only a few years old, the materials you've sourced are millions and millions of years old. It's like they're eternity. They're just Eternia, like He-Man. They just exist here forever. You're surrounded by eternity. And it's never been really created. It's just always here, just changing and swirling. And so time travel is where you realise that. And you realise you can be any point in time too, because time is irrelevant when you understand Eternia. There's no time, is there? There's nowhere to go. You're just in forever, So you could shift through different periods in history just by almost transversing the sense of reality of where you are. It probably, whatever was there exists in layers, like dimensional growth, like a tree. There's probably rings that exist. Outside of this is probably a ring of last year, and outside of that we're probably sitting inside a tree, or maybe we're on the outside of that tree growing out, and the inside of it's still here, like the core, forever, really. It just turns and then twists back the other way, like a Mobius, sort of one turn and you're back to where you started, and really you're at the beginning, whereas that's the end, and the end is the beginning, like the Smashing Pumpkins song, the beginning is the end is the beginning, or the album, I think it was. So yeah, that's how time travel sort of works. You realise there's nowhere really to get to. You can't get to the future. You're already there, really. It's just you haven't realised that is already there, and you're just going to move into it. So you could actually move into the future. And we do time travel anyway at a very slow pace, at the pace of an atomic clock almost, which ticks like seconds. But you could have those seconds, instead of doing that, just go all of a sudden, just speed up time, slow it down. I understand these concepts going to heaven. When I go to heaven, 3 months is like 5 seconds here. It's a very different time frame, because the density of this world is different to heaven. It's this world is coupled by a lot of stress, a lot of pain, a lot of grief, a lot of sin, agony, disease, hopelessness. And that weighs very heavily on the human spirit. When you go to heaven, there's none of that. It's like instantly everything gets done. It's like you might spend 3 months doing all this stuff. You get all this stuff. You're so efficient. You can do 3 months of work in 5 Earth seconds. That's how efficient the difference is. There's no pain or grief or suffering. Heaven is just like a relief from all that. So there's no real difference. It's just you can get things done. Like it's like your body clock speeds up and you can just do so much more. That's why the Flash and Superman are so fast on Earth, because really they're going at the right speed. It's just Earth is very slow and very sad and very tired, and it's mainly because of the way we treat animals. It's shocking, I try not to, but I do buy a bit of meat because I've grown up with it. But I'd love a world I didn't have to do that. I could walk out there, the backyard, and it's all forest. I can just pick what I want. A basket of fruit and vegetables, fresh melon. I bought some watermelon today, and it caters to us, to our tastes and wants and needs. It'll always challenge us a little bit, like watermelon challenges us. It says you got to spit out the seeds, because really, if we're in a natural environment, we'd have to chew up some of those seeds and actually spit them out for them to regrow. We are the watermelon bird, we're the one that has the watermelon, and we spit the seeds out and they grow from our saliva. Our saliva is a pollen of sorts. That's why I walk around spitting. I'm like a pollinator. I can pollinate new breeds and species of plants and things. And you'll find where I've spat, if people leave it alone and it rains a bit, it doesn't rain, so it doesn't work, it dries up. There are microorganisms in my spit and little things, seed pods and all sorts of things. Because my spit is a bit like semen for nature. And it's really a milk. Really, I should have a flowing milk through my body that comes out my teat down here. I should have an engorged teat down at my sack. It's like a big breast, which I wrote in my book, actually. I didn't end up publishing. I didn't get any support to publish it. But I sent it to a few people. I never heard back. But yeah, I have a teat. Gods or Supermen have a teat they can use where the children, they don't suck your dick or anything, but the foreskin elongates like a nipple, so it becomes like a nipple, and you suck the nipple, and the penis swells up like a balloon and fills up with milk, and that's how the male equivalent of a woman's breast. Women have two, men just have the one big one down there when they're a Superman, not a god or human, but when you're a Superman, you can develop a big teat, and all that stuff, all that snot and everything in your body thins right out into a beautiful milk, and that's why I don't care about picking my nose. It's just milk. So when I used to breastfeed off mum, and she stopped straight away, I wanted two. I'd say to mum, two. I wanted her boobs because I'd have one and she'd shift me to the other one. So then I started picking my nose, and I'd do that and eat it, and then I'd shift to the other one. It felt like I was on the breast. But really, I should never have done that. I should have gone straight to having a girlfriend with nice boobs. But they used to tell the girls not to grow boobs. And girls should have boobs at the age of, growing from a very young age. So by the time they're about 12, little boys can enjoy playing with them, and that's what really attracts a boy to a girl. There was another girl, Kate, who didn't have any boobs, and everyone used to say to me, "Isn't Kate nice? Oh, she'd be a good girlfriend." I'm like, I don't really like her that much because she didn't have boobs. And then she asked me out in class, and I was like, I kind of liked her by then. She had little ones, and it wasn't just that. I kind of thought she was all right. But my friends were like, "Oh, don't go with Kate. She's got no boobs, and you wouldn't like her." And I think they wanted her, So they picked on me in class when Kate got a friend to come and ask me out. And I said no, and that was it between me and Kate. She got really unhappy, and she wasn't friends with me anymore, like friendly. She was real bitchy. And the next year she developed a beautiful body, and then I was like, oh my God, I missed out on this beautiful model. But I should have been the one I went to uni with, and because we shared the same course we wanted to do, and I ended up getting it and she didn't. So it was just a whole horrible, stemming back to all that, cutting back our money. I should have had more money. I would have probably had a girlfriend earlier at primary school, and by the time I got to high school, I would have gone out with Kate. I would have felt really good, and I used to just tease her in the end. And there was a few times I just sat listening to her playing piano, and I think it was sort of made up a little bit there because I clapped at the end, and she didn't know. She looked around and she didn't know anyone was there, and she was like, oh my God, I think she liked that I saw her, and I really enjoyed her piano playing. And it's sad all these things don't work out in your life because of something that happens, whatever it was, some corruption, or I beat my head over it. It goes right back to Ra, really, when Ra was attacked by some alien race that's infected the world, and we're trying to cope, I suppose, and some people are corrupt and supporting it, whereas others are fighting it. And I sit in the middle a bit, I sort of think, well, let's just all get along, but we need to fix the money, but we need to support each other too, not be greedy and try and fix up nature, and let's come to some balance again, between all this. Because what's an alien? Just someone who lives further away. That's all. When they come to your country, they're an alien, and then after a while they naturalise. Or what's the difference, really? They're different. They're exotic. I like the idea of exotic girls, and Kate was a bit exotic. She was Polynesian or something. Yeah, she was a pretty girl. Anyway, I like to keep my videos short. 15 minutes is long enough. I'll catch you later.